Don't go. Not this.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stacked. I'm coming at you with a new cozy review. Look at me in this nice new penthouse apartment chair. I got it with some money that I embezzled just a little bit from, Stacked Enterprises, but it's gonna be okay. If you see us not having any podcasts out for the next couple weeks, we're just getting it all figured out. Just know that I was innocent and I stole all that money for the right reasons, like this great apartment, But also another reason why I'm here alone today is I'm the only one who's watched this, and I really want to talk about it, and I think a lot of people would love to hear about this show. That's right, we're talking about a television show today. Usually we do movies, but I feel like this warrants a good discussion and review, and just to share and let everyone out there know that this show is worth watching. And that is, of course, X-Men 97, the new Marvel Studios animated show. They do animated shows? Hell yeah, they do. And this one fucking rules. I was never an X-Men fan growing up. Never read the comics. Movies weren't really my cup of tea. I liked Wolverine, but that was really about it. So I was not really planning on watching this show, but then I heard all the positive buzz, so I, gave it a little look-see, and needless to say, it's turned me into a huge X-Men fan. I've sort of stopped really investing myself into comic book adaptations and just comic books in general, but not if it's X-Men now, because these characters, this world is just so rich and beautiful. I watched the original X-Men animated series that came out back in the 90s. It's a Saturday morning cartoon. There's some good episodes, but you know what you're kind of getting with that. It wasn't really made for, it was made for you to eat with a bowl of cereal on a Saturday morning after school, after school. Well, technically after school because, it's the weekend, whatever. X-Men 97, a phenomenal show that finally gives justice to these incredible characters. After I watched the show, or while I was watching the show, because, just wrapped up this week, I went back and I read some classic X-Men comics, like the modern House of X, Powers of X, Jonathan Hickman. If you haven't read that yet and you want to get into X-Men, highly recommend you start there. It's an incredibly beautiful comic, complex. It's like the Dune of the Marvel Universe. Once you read it, you'll get what I mean. Incredible comic book. I went back, I read some of Chris Claremont's classic runs, Giant Size X-Men #1, when they first are introduced to the mutant island of Krakoa that is later seen in House of X, Powers of X. If you're looking for an X-Men 97 review, sorry, I'm rambling. And the Dark Phoenix Saga, incredible runs. Joss Whedon, he had a run on X-Men. Dude sucks, but he writes X-Men good sometimes. Yeah. Anyways, X-Men 97, incredible show. I think the biggest phrase that I could just give X-Men 97, it finally does justice to these characters, to this world. Like I said, so many characters that were just done so dirty in the films. You would never think that Cyclops, Scott Summers, that guy, James Marsden, is actually one of the coolest written comic book characters ever. He's so complex and powerful and just stylish and just flawless. He's amazing, and this show shows us why Scott Summers needs to be in the conversation for one of the best team leaders and superheroes out there. Another character highlight that I just fell in love with is, of course, my girl Rogue. Oh my God. In the movies, she's just so lame, she doesn't care, she hates her powers, and she's scared, and she doesn't really do much, but here she's got flight, super strength, and the arc that she goes through from the animated series back in the 90s to now is just she crushed it. There's so much, she's such a heartbroken character because of her powers, but she channels that as a source of her power as well, and she becomes really just powerful, awesome character. I love her. She's now one of my favorite superheroes because of X-Men 97. Who else has done justice in the show? Jean Grey. Holy shit. Finally, the movies, X-Men 1 and 2, she was cool in those, but the rest kind of sucked. But here she gets to have like amazing fights with her psychic abilities. Taking down Mr. Sinister. They adapt the Goblin Queen storyline in this one, with Madeline Pryor and everything like that. It's saucy. It's full of drama, and like what would you do if like you were accidentally married to your clone, or to the clone of your wife, for a few years? Like what are the repercussions of that? So it gets into all this like saucy soap opera drama, which I feel like makes the X-Men stand out than any other like comic book team or characters or world. Is that at the heart of this grand spectacle of like this allegory for civil rights, found communities, now like the LGBTQ community, very important to X-Men and X-Men 97. But behind all that spectacle and thematic storytelling, this is a soap opera, and a story about heartbroken people. The main driving force of X-Men 97 and just the X-Men in general is heartbreak. Like I said with Rogue, every character brings some form of heartbreak into the show, and it makes them so much more relatable than most comic book characters. Like, I don't even want to call them superheroes. They just feel like people. Like, I would rather like refer to their characters by like their names rather than their titles, like Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Hank McCoy, Logan, Charles Xavier, Magnus. Even though I don't know why they call him Magnus. I like when he was just called Eric Lencher in the movies. That's one thing they do better. But here, they're all such beautifully rich and complex characters because they're all just so heartbroken, either personally or heartbroken by how society treats them and views them. It's incredible. Let's see more highlights of characters in the show that have just been done far superior than the movies. Storm. Holy shit. She has such a beautiful arc in this season about her, sort of realizing her full potential by having her powers taken away for part of the show. But, she gets them back and she's just more powerful than ever. She has a great relationship with Forge, the mutant who's like super smart. He can build anything. Nightcrawler. Holy shit. He and Wolverine get the coolest action sequence I have ever seen in any comic book adaptation ever, where they're just taking down these guys. It's a oneer. Wolverine's allowed to slice up people. You get to see body parts, limbs flying around everywhere. Nightcrawler, he has 3 swords, and he's teleporting around, bamfing around, and stabbing people, and you get to go through Nightcrawler's point of view of like what it's like to teleport, and it's insane. And it's just like, this is something you can only ever see in animation, which is what makes X-Men 97 such a phenomenal show, because it made me really have the belief that like the perfect comic book adaptations can't be live action, because there are just some things in these books drawn by these amazing artists and written by these amazing writers that like just aren't physically possible to communicate without it looking dated with like CGI, But here it's just like the animation is incredible. There's so much anime reference in here. There's so much reference to like even some of the best of X-Men films and other comic book films. There's lots of references to that here. We got a great villain in Bastion. I've never heard of him before to the show, but now I've went back and researched the character more, and it's an incredibly cool allegory on like human progress and technology and globalization, how that shit is sort of like, while it's brought us closer together, it's also kind of created more mistrust in us than ever, and it's alienated us just as much as it's brought communities together, and that's sort of what I felt like Bastion represented in X-Men 97. He's an incredible villain, terrific. Magneto, like I said, he is also has such an incredible arc. And you feel so justified in his anger in this show, and it comes to an insane climax. Who else is great? Jubilee. Oh man. Okay. I watched the X-Men original show, and Jubilee was always one of the most annoying characters because she was like the kid, she was the new kid, and so she was sort of like the vessel to get us through this world, and she would be like quipping and everything like that, and she just wouldn't really fit in. But here, she's sort of now a mentor, or she's ushering in Sunspot into this world of mutants, and they just completely get how her powers are supposed to be, because you're like, she shoots fireworks, but, you know, there's this one episode where you see like an older version of her, and she like with her powers like mastered, and it's like so dynamic and beautiful and colorful, and like you can tell that she's one of the most powerful mutants out there because she can shoot fireworks out of her hands, and it's cool as hell, you know. So she made, you know, this show made me fall back in love with Jubilee. Who else? Gambit gets his time, you know, and, you know, if you've seen the show, yeah. I don't want to say anything more. Who else? Beast, you know, he's always great. He doesn't get as much to do in this season as, like, you know, the original animated series. You could tell in the original that, like, Beast and Wolverine were probably the guys who sold the most toys. So they were the guys that were, like, in most of the episodes, you know. But here they kind of take a backseat, especially Wolverine, which is really cool because he was, like, the main character in, like, all the films. And as much as I love Hugh Jackman, like, it was so refreshing to see, like, the X-Men are the main characters, not Wolverine with the X-Men. It was the X-Men were the main characters, you know? And that team dynamic, like, you could argue any one of these characters are your favorite. And that's just super cool. That's, like, how every adaptation of, like, superhero teams or any, like, ensemble piece should be, you know? I feel like each character should be just as equal. And here it feels that way. And that is just, I've never seen anything like that, you know? What else is there to say about X-Men 97? I don't know. I just think it's one of the best adaptations we've ever had in years. And like I said, made me believe that animation is just the way to go with this stuff. Like, I'm more excited for X-Men 97 Season 2 than, like, any like superhero movie coming out now. Like, I can't wait to see what this team's got cooking up, because, you know, you can just tell that they love and they respect these characters. They pull so much influence from some of the X-Men's most iconic storylines and character arcs, you know, that it's just like, it's a marvel to watch. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on X-Men 97. I'm going to give it a Blu-ray review of 5 out of 5 Blu-rays. That's how big my stack's going to be. I have no complaints, no gripes with X-Men 97. I think you all should watch it if you just want some really high energy, high drama television. Like, it's some of the best television that's out there right now. So I hope you all check it out, and maybe you'll hear from me more in the next couple weeks. We'll see. Like I said, we may have some legal battles going on, but I just want to let you all know that I was in the right for stealing all that money. I mean, like, look at this amazing penthouse, right? I mean, there's not much I haven't furnished it much yet, but, you know, like, there's plans, super nice chair, Crate and Barrel, maybe, I don't know. I had my assistants that I hired with the millions of dollars that I also embezzled. Anyways, let me know what you all think of X-Men 97. Let me know what you think of the X-Men property. You know, are you an X-Men fan? Let me know in the comments below, and just stay tuned for more Stacked. And, you know, maybe not now because, you know, like I said, drama, but in the next few weeks we'll be back with the show. But maybe I'll have some more cozy reviews for you coming out. So stay tuned. Peace, guys.